fellow dorks? It is the Turtle Dork back with a new recap and reaction for season 2 of Game of Thrones. This is episode 8, The Prince of Winterfell, directed by Alan Taylor. I remember that without even having to take notes. Okay, I'm the Turtle Dork. This is the Disco Dork. Let's break this down. Okay, Yara arrives at Winterfell. So Theon has Winterfell seized and everything, and then he opens the gates, and Yara and her men come in, and Theon's a little bewildered.
Yeah.
He's like, wait, what the fuck? Wait, why are you here? So yeah, I thought that was a pretty good scene, because we get back into they have a scene between the two of them when she's basically kind of busting his chops and whatnot, and she basically dismisses everybody and tells, like, look, I know how everything is, you know, we come from the same parents, blah, 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 this and that. You have to go back to the Iron Islands. Like, you know, you shouldn't be here. Everybody wants you hanged for what you've done here in Winterfell. It's like you're stupid, you're weak, because Theon's trying to prove himself, and Yara's is like, look, this is not your game to play, basically.
Yeah. So what's of note of that, or this entire situation, since we're doing the recap for those who might not remember, is that Theon technically wasn't even supposed to be there. He wasn't even supposed, and I don't mean because he's of the Iron Islands and Winterfell is so far inland, but I mean he was instructed to take his sea bitch and go do like some, you know, busy work type mission, right? Yeah. And in the not the last episode, but the one before that, I think it was, when he decided to go, when his shipmate, his first mate, kind of influenced him to say, hey, you know, we could go do this busy work that your dad wants you to do, or we can take some guys and we can do something that will be meaningful if you're trying to get in his graces or whatever. Yeah. And so that's when Theon decides, all right, we're not going to go do what I was told to do. We're going to go take Winterfell. Yeah. Which is ill-advised in the grand scheme of things. And this is what Yara is telling him in this particular episode. So Theon comes here. He's, the last episode, you know, he thinks, and even in this episode, that's why he had that, what the hell are you doing here look. He thinks he's doing a great thing. Oh man, Dad's going to be so proud. He told me to go do this because I'm not good enough to do that. But you know what? I'll show him. I'm going to impress him by taking Winterfell. And because, it's so funny because Theon has been, I feel so bad for him in that on one hand, he got his dad telling him, you know, you're a punk. You're not even a man. Your sister is a better ship commander than you. She's a better warrior. Yeah. She's a better sibling than you. Like you're weak, and everyone's telling him he's weak. His sister tells him he's weak in this particular scene. Yeah. So he comes from a people who, you know, strength. You know, you're is everything. You know, we're from the Iron Islands. You know, we're strong people. We're not weak people. So he comes from a people where that is their life, and then he's getting this from his parent and his sibling. Yeah. So he's like, all right, well, I have to I can't look like a punk.
Got to prove himself.
I got to prove myself. I have to prove that I can make hard choices and stuff like that, right? So him stringing those burnt bodies up or killing those two people is in direct response to people telling him that you should be doing shit like this. You're Ironborn. You can't be scared to, you know, do stuff like that. And then he does it, and then he's told, man, you shouldn't have did that. Yeah. So he's like, man, I can't win for lose. Like, what you want me to do?
I know, it's like WTF. It's like, you know, you want me to do this to prove myself, but then when I do it, you're calling me stupid for doing this because and so it's just this. It's like this seesaw effect for Theon that's back and forth that plays throughout his characterization throughout the series.
And to Yara's credit, she's not wrong when she says that, you know, this is an ill-advised move. You shouldn't have done this. You shouldn't have proved you aren't a punk in this way.
Exactly.
But at the same time, in Theon's defense, no matter what he does, it seems like it's not the right thing. It's not good enough, right? Yeah. So I can see that's the great thing about the show. And that's why you love characters who aren't necessarily likable, because sometimes, like in certain instances, both parties are right, even though both parties are in the wrong too as well.
Exactly.
So I found it interesting about that particular scene.
I guess real quick, Corin and Jon are caught by the wildlings, and we have Ygritte, who basically they want to take his head, they want to kill him, and Ygritte kind of defends Jon by saying, "Look, this is the bastard son of Ned Stark, of Winterfell, so they're going to take him to go see Mance Rayder." But it's just interesting to see how Ygritte kind of comes to his defense because of who Jon is. So I thought that was just an interesting scene between them, and we finally get to see a little bit more of the wildlings kind of leading up to the introduction of Mance Rayder, who we haven't yet met, but I think we should meet them either at the next couple of episodes or next season. Big scene, Lady Stark, when Robb Stark finds out that she released Jaime.
Oh, hold on. Before we get to this one.
Yeah.
That last scene with Ygritte. It ends with Corin, did you say his name was?
Corin, yeah.
So Jon says, well, where the other crows? And Corin says, well, when we left you, we ended up searching for you.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the wildlings found us before we found you. So those other men were killed. The other crows were killed.
Yeah.
And so Jon says, it's my fault because he couldn't kill Ygritte. So had he been able to do that, the other men would still be alive, most likely. So Jon says, it's my fault that they're dead. And Corin says, don't let their death be in vain. And right after that, as they're being taken to Mance Rayder, Corin instigates a fight with Jon.
Okay, yeah.
And he knocks Jon down a hill.
Yeah.
Basically to cause strife, to say, I want to kill you, and to cause beef. And so what's going to happen later on is Jon is going to end up having to kill Corin, but that's going to put him in the good graces of Mance Rayder.
To earn the trust of
because Corin says, look, you got to do the right thing. If we can get you in, one of our brothers in his army are as useful, if not greater, than 1,000 or 500 of our men trying to oppose him, right?
Exactly.
So he wants Jon to infiltrate that gang. I mean, the Mance Raiders group. And so what's going to happen? You see the seeds of that when him starting this argument with Jon, knocking him down this hill. When that happens, Ygritte, the line keeps going. They keep walking while Jon goes.
She kind of peeps that, so she kind of.
She looks at Jon and she looks over at Corin and she kind of. I think she knows what they're trying to do.
Okay.
And
I
think she wants that to happen.
Really?
I think because earlier, the last episode, she was telling Jon when she was busting his balls, she was saying, you could be free with us. You could be. You should join us.
But does she want that to happen, not to infiltrate the wildlings so that he can kind of overthrow or whatever, but to maybe try to turn Jon?
Yeah.
Okay. In that way, I can see that.
She wants basically the same reason why she says, "Hey, hold up, don't kill him. Maybe Mance Rayder wants to talk to him.
Got you.
Maybe Mance Rayder does want to talk to him.
Yeah.
And 5% of Ygritte wants is cognitive of that, but the other 95% is she don't want Jon Snow to die. She's been on the road with this dude for like a day and a half, spooning with him and
shit. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
So there's some feelings there. I like that last shot of Ygritte kind of being keying in on what's going on. Like
absolutely,
is what's happening. What I think is happening.
There's a reason why they cut to her in that moment because she knows something. I think that they're letting us know that she's on to their game that they're trying to plan. But now Lady Stark, Robb basically arresting his mother for releasing Jaime. And just everything that Lady Stark was saying about the reasoning why she released Jaime and bringing in, I can't remember the guy's name, but the Karstark whose son was murdered by Jaime, and the grief that he has and the vengeance that he wants, but then also knowing that Lady Stark is like, look, I'm a mother. I understand you're fighting a war, but I need my children back. And it's just, she's a mother doing what I think a mother would do. And I understand both oppositions to what Robb is saying, but also I understand Lady Stark's perspective as well. But I thought it was just a really great scene. And it's really just kind of hard to watch knowing that Rob is also her son as well. And, you know, the fact that she had to do this against her own son had to have been heartbreaking for her. But, you know, they have all her other children. And, you know, Bran and Rickon are in Winterfell with the Greyjoys taking over that. Arya and Sansa are God knows where. So, I mean, I can only imagine what Lady Stark is even thinking right now. And she may not be in the right headspace, but I see her reasoning in that moment.
That's what's so great about the show, are these the complexities of each of these characters, because mirroring the Theon and Yara situation, it's the same thing. You understand both parties. You understand Catelyn, but that guy, he's not wrong. He lost one of his sons in battle, fighting next to Robb. He lost his other son because Jaime killed him.
Yeah.
So you worried about, you let a traitor go because you want your kids, but my kids are dead. I need him to answer for that.
Exactly.
Right? So neither one of them are wrong.
Yeah.
Well, Caitlyn is wrong in what she did. Kind of like Theon. Like, okay, you should have. You got to go about it a different way, maybe, or maybe you can't. Maybe there wasn't either way. Basically, what I'm saying is like, you understand and sympathize with both parties. Exactly. Well, at least I do.
No, you don't. No, and that's the great thing, is because you can never really take one side or the other, because they present both perspectives of it. Yeah. And you understand both of them, and I like that scene between the two of them. Next thing I have is Tywin. So he's having another small council meeting. Yeah. So Arya overhears, her being his cupbearer, overhears that he's going to march against the Starks, and he's leaving at night to go march against the Starks. So they're leaving at nightfall. So Arya has to kind of look for Jaqen, so that she can try to stop, or at least try to get her to escape. So I like that whole sequence between that whole sequence with Tywin, and then we also see Clegane, the Mountain. And now, was he talking to the Mountain to say that he wanted Arya to be his servant? He's going to stay behind to fortify Harrenhal. I think that's what he was saying. Yeah. So the Mountain is going to stay behind, fortify there. He's going to have Arya be his servant. So she hears this, so she goes to try to find Jaqen, and she can't find him at that moment. But I like that whole sequence and just the urgency of that when Arya hears that, oh shit, Tywin's about to go fight against my brother. I need to do what I can do. Yeah. So I like that whole sequence. Let's see, we talked about Corn's plan. This is another funny bit. Tyrion, Bran, in King's Landing, where they're Braun. I said Bran. Sorry, not Bran. We'll get to Bran later. Yeah. Braun, talking how to strategize this fight against Stannis. So he's looking through all these books. Like the great seasons of Westeros. Written by
a name he couldn't pronounce.
Oh man. But this is just a great scene because Varys comes into the scene as well. Yeah. And it's just a great scene, just discussing tactics, discussing some of the history of King's Landing, about some and especially Bronn's knowledge about certain sieges on certain different people's villages and kingdoms and
not
stuff
even
like
just
that.
the siege, but just the ways of war. It goes back to what I was saying.
The ways of war.
In the other episode, what makes Bronn so great a character and such a great sellsword is that not only is he a great swordsman, and not only is he loyal to Tyrion, but he knows a lot. He's very smart, and he's always imparting this knowledge on Tyrion, which is impressive as it pertains to Bronn, because remember I said, like, Tyrion walks in a room, he's the smartest guy in the room. So if you're still able to teach Tyrion, who with in the grand scheme of things, he knows a lot, and he's in a place where he knows a lot about a lot of things, not even just one particular thing. But there's even with his wealth of knowledge, there are these things that he still ignorant of, and it's someone like Bronn, not someone who walks in the room and talks a talk and plays mind games. Bronn is not like that. Bronn is not Tyrion. Bronn is a sellsword, but yet here is this sellsword who is schooling this guy who. And there's a later scene in this episode that Tyrion admits, I love playing the game.
We'll definitely get to that between him and Varys. But you're right, because of the knowledge that Bronn has on that, he's schooling Tyrion on the ways of war. And I like those stories that he tells, because he says, like when you have a siege, the thieves become the richest men because food is valued more than gold. And then that's the first thing, is like that's how people siege, because it's starvation. It's no other form of wealth when you take food away from the people. Sam finds dragonglass. So like you say, Corin tells Jon Snow that the other crows have perished searching for him, so don't let that happen in vain. But of course, Corin has his own plan for what he wants. So we find out that the other crows are still alive. So they're digging through the snow, and they come upon...
Well, I want to say there's three. It's Sam and those two other guys that are always together. But the other crows, Sam and those two guys, they were told to stay there. If I'm not mistaken.
So those weren't the ones that were with Corin?
No.
Okay. All right, so I was mistaken with that. But yeah, so they come upon this sigil of the first men, which is basically kind of like this huge rock, this boulder. So they lift the boulder to find a crow's either cape or cloak, and there's something wrapped up in it. They open the cloak and they find dragonglass. And so this is the first that we've seen of dragonglass, I want to say.
Yes, it's been mentioned in the show before. I'm trying to think if it was in the first episode. I don't think so, but I think this is the first time we see it. But it's been mentioned before.
Okay. Yeah, so, and this is definitely something that's going to play further into the series, especially with the character of Sam as well, because I believe Sam is going to run into one of the White Walkers.
He's going to kill one.
He's going to kill one. So, yeah, this is a great scene to just really kind of establish what dragonglass is, and to kind of set that up for that payoff with Sam a little bit later. So I like that scene to establish that. We get to Arya when she actually does find Jaqen, and she bargains. What I put here? She bargains with Jaqen to escape. So she has one more name on her list, and she's kind of trying to bargain this whole thing to try to get out of Harrenhal. So I like this back and forth that they had when she gives him the name, but she gives him his name. So she's like, look, don't play with the gods.
Yeah, take it back. Take it back. Take the name back.
Like, take that back. Take it back now. So I like that. And again, establishing Arya, and sometimes like when she has these scenes with these grown men, these older characters, and the way she's able to establish her dominance in those scenes. I mean, whether it's something with Tywin, whether it's the subtext of it, or something that's kind of played more subtly, or in something like this, where she's like, look, I have to escape. Tywin is going to march against my family. I got to get out of here. And she's pulling her cards, man, and she's not taking no for an answer. And I like that scene between the two of them. Let's see what we got next. Cersei. Oh, yeah. Oh, this is the one you wanted to talk about. Cersei and Tyrion. When Cersei thinks she has Tyrion up against the ropes by saying that she has...
So the scene starts with Cersei being upset with Tyrion because Tyrion is saying that Joffrey is going to be on the front lines in the Battle of Blackwater.
Yeah.
And Cersei knows that that's the last place
he needs to be.
She wants him to be.
Yeah.
He does need to be there. She doesn't want him to be there because she knows he's not built for that.
He's not. Yeah, he's not.
So, Tyrion being Tyrion, he's I don't want to say mockingly, but he's like, but it will do some good. His men will follow him. The people will see we have a brave king, and he had the king's guard around him, and he'll have the finest gold armor. He'll be good. Like, trust me. Knowing damn well, like, most likely that motherfucker will die. That's what he would hope, right? And Cersei's like, you think I'm dumb. You sent my daughter off to Dorne.
Yeah.
Now you sent my son to the front lines to die. And she goes, but, I can get to you too, because he goes, why are you smiling? And she said, because I'm happy. Like, why are you happy? He said, because, I got you a little whore. So basically she has Shay.
Yeah.
And she tells Tyrion, I have Shay, and, if anything happens to Joffrey, the same fate is going to befall to Shay.
Exactly.
And then, Tyrion's, you could see he's visibly shaken at the mention that, firstly, that she seriously knows about her, right? And then she's like, bring my brother's whore in. And it's not Shay.
Yeah.
It is Peter. I can't remember her name, I apologize, but it's Peter Baelish's main prize win, breadwinner.
Breadwinner, yes.
But you made a remark. It's also the same. It's also the same person who walked in on Shay and Sansa when Sansa had her first period.
Yeah.
And that's the woman that Shay ran after, pulled a knife on her and said, "You will say nothing to no one."
Yeah.
So this scene happens. Tyrion sees her and is relieved that it's not Shay, but he can't show that in front of Cersei.
Oh, yeah.
So he walks up to her and he says, "I'm sorry that they did this to you, and you must be brave." And you remarked that you like how Peter Dinklage plays that scene. How Tyrion is actually playing that, so that not to throw Cersei off.
Yeah.
And the lady says, "Don't forget me." And what I liked about that scene, and what I didn't realize the first time I had seen it, is that I thought initially that Cersei had mistakenly had heard about her and mistakenly.
Oh, no. Varys. It was Varys, right?
No, but what I'm saying is that lady, she knows. Like she knows. Like she's taking one for the team, is what I'm saying.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But because I'm thinking also Varys, because remember Varys had, when he walked in on Varys and Shay, and also the fact that Cersei mentioned something about Varys, like how I could trust Varys, or something about that. So maybe she had a conversation with him, and he threw her off as well, something like that. But
no, it wasn't Varys. I think it was what I remarked about that scene this go round when I said, "Oh man, I'll put a note. I want to talk about that." Is that the fact that lady who Shay pulled the knife on? She could have easily said, "Look, I know I'm not the one." She's taking one for the team. She has that Lannister necklace around her neck, and to sell the lie that Tyrion gave this to me. So I think that for her to do that for Sansa, but not for Sansa, but for Shay, because they're both whores, they're both working women, right?
This is a lot
so for her to stick up for her, she didn't even know Shay. They're just in the same profession.
Yeah.
So that professional courtesy, what it's costing her, like, because they punished her already.
Yeah.
Because she comes in visibly beaten and shaken, and there is the threat of, Cersei made the threat. Whatever harm comes to Joffrey. So if Joffrey gets cut in the arm, on his left arm, then that lady's getting her left arm cut. So for her to put herself in that situation, I think speaks volumes about her. Because you even remarked when they brought her in the room, you was like, "Damn, man, like." That lady's been through so much.
Yeah.
And she has.
Yeah.
And I just feel like, I don't know, it's sad too that has to happen. That, you know what?
It's extremely sad.
Ned keeping that secret, this lady keeping that secret, Theon keeping the secret of, I know that's not them.
Mm-hmm. Jamie keeping the secret about the Mad King.
That if they just said, they just told the truth, or they just said what they know, it could clear their name. But they're holding these things because they have some type of moral code, ethical code. And I find that fascinating about those characters.
Yeah. The next thing I have is Rob and Talisa. I put they consummate their love, in parentheses, they fuck.
Oh, and you should put seal their fate.
Pretty much. And I mentioned this while we were watching. Yeah, they fucked and they fucked up. But I mentioned this watching this, that it's always interesting rewatching a series, knowing the outcome of what's going to happen by certain choices that people make. And it's a beautiful scene between the two of them, especially when you see the moment that Rob falls in love with Talisa, because she's telling this story about back when she was in Volantis at home, and it was during a wedding, and she tells a story about the time that she thought her brother had died from drowning, and they pulled him from the river, and there was a slave from her lands that came over, pushed her aside because she was a highborn, and that's a no-no, because normally if you push a highborn aside, you've basically sealed your death. And he basically performs CPR and basically saves her brother. And just the way Talisa is telling the story, and the way Rob is responding to her, and then how after she tells that story, Rob says, he's like, look, I don't want to marry the Frey girl. And then they end up making love, and it's a beautiful scene. Watching it for the first time, I can definitely see, as an audience member, or just watching that and really like falling for these two characters and wanting them to be together. But once we get to their ultimate fate, it is extremely hard to watch this scene knowing what's coming, and it's kind of sad. And I was telling Darren, like, it's kind of like one of those things where it's just like, it's one of those moments where you wish you can go back in time and kind of just like make different choices knowing what's going to come. But like I was joking, like, it's better to have loved and lost than to never have loved at all. But unfortunately, they're going to love and lose their lives. Spoiler alert. But I just thought it was a great scene, but a tragic scene as well, how it plays on the rewatch.
Yeah, the music that's playing during
great.
that scene.
Yeah.
First watch, it sounds sweet.
Yeah.
It's like romantic. It's like, oh man, this is beautiful. That same song, like, now rewatching and knowing what happens, is sad. It's a tragic song. Like, that music sounds heartbreaking.
It does. It absolutely does. It works in two different ways. Yeah. It's crazy. But such a great scene. Arya leaves. This is a short scene, but Arya escapes from Harrenhal.
Yeah, and the last scene ended when she named Jaqen, and her terms were, all right, I'll unname you if you help us escape.
Yeah.
Jaqen says, all right, but if I agree to do this, you have to do what a man says. You have to do what I say. And she's like, all right, I agree. All right, at midnight, walk through the front gates. She's like, all right, bet. So that's what this scene is. This is her, Gendry, and Hot looking at the front gate like, you sure he said, well, I don't see him. You sure he said walk through this gate at midnight? I don't see nobody. She's like, well, look, I don't see him either, but he said walk through the gate at midnight. I trust him.
Hot Pie's like, look, I just want to go back to the kitchen.
I don't like this. This don't feel right. And they're staring at the guards standing up there, and they're like, man, where's your boy at? She's like, look, Frank, I'm going. And what I like about, I love that Gendry immediately gets up. And because of everything else that we've gotten with that character, I feel like him immediately getting up as soon as Arya walks I didn't feel like it was she's a girl, I'm not letting this girl go out there and make me look like it felt like, you know what, if she's gonna go, I'm gonna go with her to make sure everything's okay. And also, if I'm scared right now, but this little girl's bravery is inspiring me. Like, she's scared too, but she's gonna go in spite of it. So boom, I'm gonna follow her lead.
Yeah.
So they walk through the front gates, and it's revealed that the guards are there, but they're impaled up against the wall. And I always, like, even after the first time I saw that, I always thought that was so badass of Jaqen. I love the way the show writes for Jaqen. And I don't just mean like the dialogue. I mean just the things that they make him do, how they portray his abilities, and just the things that he says. Even that conversation of, unname me, just that exchange with Arya. Like, I love the way that character is written, like from top to bottom. And that moment right there, that's like my favorite moment of that character. It's like, you don't see him do anything, you see what he did, and you just know the fact that he was able to do that, and they were able to walk out the front door. It's badass. I
love that mystique about his character.
Oh yeah.
Especially like, man, like when we start to, when she goes to train with him later on, I think in like season 5 or 6, man, it's just, it gets really good. Yeah. Like, this is not the last that we see of Jaqen at all. This was a really good scene. Davos and Stannis on the ships, and I also put here, we also find the origin of his resentment towards Robert Baratheon when he talks about him having to see Storm's End, and how he was able to overtake Storm's End, but he ultimately gave that to Renly. And I don't know, it gives us a little bit, and also just shows a little bit more of the relationship between Davos and Stannis, where he talks about, look, like these men talk behind your back, they call you onions or something, I can't remember what it said, where he's taking that on as his own sigil. And but Davos he stands up to it. He's just like, look, they could talk to me behind my back or in my face, but I stay true to who I am and what my mission is. But I thought that was just such a great scene to really see Stannis and why he's so kind of hell-bent on this mission to overthrow the Lannisters and why he resented his brothers so much. Yeah, so I thought it was really, really good scene.
And he says, once because I'm the rightful heir to the throne, like it's mine, and when that happens, you're going to be my hand.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. Like I remarked this while we were watching it. If or when Davos dies in the final season, I'm going to be so sad, man, because that character. I mean, it really is. I mean, starting with this rewatch, because I remember in the later seasons him advising Stannis against burning his daughter, like all that other shit. I remember him in the later seasons, but in this season, like I just forgotten how even early on how much of a loyal and good character and person like Davos is.
Very good, yeah.
Man, that moment when he says that and Davos takes the knee, say, man, I hope I serve you well. Like just the nobility in him. But like all the good people of good nobility and true intentions and honorable people in this show, man, they don't.
Well, I mean, we have a few. Jon Snow, but I mean, he's died once. But I'm trying to think who else is noble. Davos. Ned's gone. Rob's gone.
It don't help to be noble.
We'll see. We'll find out if that statement stays true in these last 6 episodes. But hopefully, we'll have some good men like Jon Snow and Davos still with us. Jorah is a good man. He's done some shady stuff, but he's a good man. And hopefully Jorah will still be there.
And he is suffering a living death in the friend zone. I'm telling you, like.
Oh no, that's not the next scene. I do want to talk about Jorah. No, let's go sequential order. Because I do want to talk about Jorah and Dany. But Tyrion and Varys. Basically, I put down here when them talking about their stories, and we learn a little bit more about the game that's being played.
This scene is great. This scene starts on the wall. The wall is being fortified, and King's Landing. Joffrey's there, Tyrion advising, obviously because he's a hand, and Varys. So they're walking the wall as it's being fortified for Stannis' impending siege.
Yeah.
And Joffrey's popping shit like, hey, I heard Stannis never smiled, but you know what? I got my shank. I'm gonna cut him a red smile from ear to ear. And then he walks
the fuck up.
And he walks off, and Tyrion is like, oh shit, I know Stannis is scared now. And Varys and he start to have a discussion. And I had forgotten how much I love the pairing of these two. Later on,
later seasons.
I love these two together, and I think this is one of the first scenes that kind of plants the seeds of, because they both confide in each other that like Varys is like, yo, you make a great hand, you know the game. Ned was a good guy, he was an honorable guy, but he had a disdain for the game and how it's played. But you don't. You like the game, and Tyrion admits, I do like this game. And Tyrion says, I want to continue to play this game. So basically, this is the seeds of, all right, so I scratch your back, you scratch mine. Like, all right, so are we gonna do this together, or what's going to happen right here? And so I just love that exchange between them two, because you got two actors who are they're at the height of their craft when they portray these characters, and just the way that the show was written, to see these two people who understand that, Varys knows that he has secrets and he has spies and he has to lie. Tyrion knows he's a really good liar and he's good at talking the game and playing the game. And it's these two people realizing that, we have something in common. And that something in common is this thing that's necessary for self-preservation to keep you alive in this world. And And there's mutual respect.
There's a mutual respect, and what I like about that too, it's like the old saying, people have honor among thieves.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, they're both great liars, but there is a respect there that, you know, they play the game, but there is an honor among the two of them that I think that they have, even though there may be times that they may have to kind of, you know, go behind another one's back or do something that the other one doesn't like or whatever the case may be. But I think even, and you see it in this scene, that they do have honor among each other. Yeah. And I think that was pretty cool. I think we start to see that in this scene. It was really, really cool. Yeah. Dany pleads with Jorah to basically take her to the House of the Undying to get her dragon.
You should have titled that bullet point, Dany tortures or continues to torture Jorah. She touched that man in his face.
Don't touch a man's face. Come on, man.
You touch a man's face. Don't touch Jorah's face. Don't touch friend zone God in the face, because she killed that dude 1,000 deaths in that scene. Go ahead, talk about that.
And then like what she said, she's like, look, theyese dragons are my babies. Like, I will never have another child.
For context, we're picking up. This is the first time we see Dany since the last episode. The last episode ends with her, the realization that her dragons were stolen, and then that crazy purple Squidward dude taking the dragons to the House of Undying, right? Yeah. And so this scene opens with Dany saying, "Yo, let's go. We gotta get these dragons." And Jorah's like, "Yo, we have to flee this city. It's not safe.
It's not. Yeah.
I understand you want those dragons, but they're not your children. You didn't carry them in your womb. You didn't birth them." Yeah. And Dany's just like, fuck all that. You saw me walk in the fire and hatch that motherfucker. Exactly. You saw me do that.
Exactly.
Like, so don't, because Jorah's worry is, you know, the House of the Undying, the wizard, his sorcery and his magic. And Dany's like, well, what about my magic?
Exactly.
Like, you saw my magic.
Exactly.
Like, what up? Let's go.
Yeah.
And that's when she's like, look, Jorah. I heard what you saying. I didn't carry my womb and I didn't birth these dragons, but these dragons are my baby. I will never have another. She touches his face and says, I will never have children. So basically, Jorah,
you ain't getting in these draws ever. Ever. It's like
in his face. It's like, and like a true friend zone God, he just went back into the bushes and resided to his fate.
He did the Homer Simpson.
Like, okay, no kids. Let's go to the temple, Dany. Let's go, Khaleesi.
Oh man,
she broke that man heart.
Yeah, she broke it into 1,000 pieces, man, and she continues to do that. Last scene, man, with Maester Luwin, and we see that Osha. Now they tried in the previous episode. They tried to track where Osha and Hodor and Rickon and Bran have fled to. And come to find out, they are still in Winterfell. I think they're down in the crypts, I think. They're somewhere hidden in Winterfell. And so Maester Luwin sees Osha stealing some bread so she can get some food for the kids. And we go down into wherever they are in the crypts. I'm just going to say they're down in the crypts. But so we go down there and we see a conversation that Osha is having with Maester Luwin. And they talk about the kids that were burned. And Maester Luwin says that those are the farmers' kids, and to not let Bran know this because if he finds out, this is basically going to destroy him. He's going to blame himself for it. And the way the camera pans from Osha and Maester Luwin and pans around to the other side of the wall where supposedly Rickon, Hodor, and Bran are asleep. We see Bran is wide awake and he basically hears what Maester Luwin has said, and we are going to come to find out how that affects Bran. And this scene really kind of destroyed me because we know the character of Bran and where he ends up, and the fact that I could see how Bran will blame himself and take that responsibility for two innocent children to be burned and killed in that way. And it was heartbreaking. It was a heartbreaking scene, and it plays well, and the way that it just fades to black and the way the scene ends, and especially with the music, just a beautifully directed scene, a very heartbreaking scene with Bran.
But I also think it complements that scene with Theon, that look that you were talking about
from the last episode.
Right. It just drives home. Not that you need to drive home to burning, hanging bodies, and one of them is a small child.
Yeah.
But it just drives home how heavy of a choice that was.
Yeah.
That Theon made to do that.
Yeah.
For Bran, Hodor, and Rickon.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's going to have huge ramifications. It's already having huge ramifications for Theon. Like, he's about to go back home and he's going to catch hell for that.
I know, yep.
Bran is going to have to live with the knowledge that he's alive at the sacrifice
of two kids,
innocent people.
Having to die, and the burden that it's just crazy. The burden that these children have to take on in this show from the actions of their parents or the adults in this show.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at people like Sansa and Arya, and I mean basically all the Stark children. It's just,
you know what? You juxtapose that, like that scene with Bran sitting with that information that somebody died because of him. Earlier in this scene, in this episode, when we first see Arya going through the court, when she's looking for Tywin, as she's going through the courtyard.
Oh, Jaqen.
Yeah, she's looking for Jaqen.
Yeah,
she's looking for Jaqen. As she's going through the courtyard, you hear people asking, "Well, who killed?"
Oh, yeah.
Someone's being tortured. They're being questioned about the death of the guard from the previous episode that Jaqen shot in the neck with the dart. And Arya, you can hear that. I don't know if she ain't paying attention. Maybe she heard it, whatever, but she doesn't think twice about that. The fact that someone's being tortured because of something she did.
Exactly. Right. Yeah.
She's just about her mission. Like it's two Stark children, two different reactions to the sacrifice of somebody else for a greater mission, a greater good.
Absolutely.
Arya's just cold. She ice cold inside.
Yeah, man. We're going to see more of that. I'm telling you, dog. It's coming. So, yeah, this was a great way to end this episode. Actually, the next episode is the battle episode directed by Neil Marshall. We were talking about it before we went on air. Blackwater. So, yeah, this is one of many great battle episodes. So stay tuned for that episode coming soon. But definitely let us know what you thought of this episode in the comments below. Go ahead, rate, like, subscribe, and share. And go ahead and check out my other dorks at MouthDork, at WB Das, and at Sidewalk Siren. This guy here is the Disco Dork. I am the Turtle Dork. And with that, we are out.